What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. I tried to think of some ideas, something to make some kind of creative way to really lead into the show. And if we're being honest here, the only thing I can really say is it's a massive news blowout. We've got a ton of news to cover. Romeo Agresti basically covering all the little details in the mercato that you want to hear, as well as some other interesting tidbits from around the sporting world that we're talking about Juventus. It's a lot of news. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it is Thursday, March 31st, 2022. And of course, I've got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about. And like I said, as usual, it's a huge blowout. So when I say normally, I try to say as quickly as possible. We'll try to get it as quickly as possible. But there's a ton of news to break down. So we're going to go through this. And it may be a little bit of a lengthy video, but stick with it all the way through. There's some interesting tidbits that you're going to want to hear. Before we do anything though, go ahead and smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Follow Bianconeri Zone on all the stuff that we have, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Bianconeri Zone, and follow me at Justin Sofro as well. Alright, let's dive into it. What news do we have for the day? First up, and I'm going to have to get out my reading glasses for this one because it's a long bit, but it's about Pogba, and it's Romeo Agresti talking about his future. Does Juventus fall in the balance there? Well, he says Pogba, it's a totally open situation. Everything indicates that he will leave Manchester United at the end of his contract. However, to come to Juventus, Pogba would have to be willing to take a drastic pay cut, something like 50%, and as much as Pogba has shown at Juve, created a great relationship with Allegri, and comes from a very difficult years at United, it remains a big doubt that he'd be willing to do that. Pogba is a world champion, and his name has grown to actually become a major brand, recognized everywhere on the planet. I honestly think it's very difficult for him to give up that kind of money, having several options on the table. So I think at this point, it's kind of Agresti trying to let you down a little bit easy. Just let you know, guys, if you're on the Pogba train, if you really want Pogba back, it may not be as feasible as fans are hoping. Because Juventus are going to pay some money, but they're not willing to pay the top Premier League money, especially right now with the new leadership, or Eva Bene, Cherubini, guys like that, who want to make sure Juventus are making smart decisions financially. We've seen all the issues with Rabiot. Obviously, these are not the same players. Rabiot, Ramsey, Alexandro, Chesney, whatever have you, are not the equivalent of what Pogba is, especially Pogba that you've seen previously at Juventus. The problem is, if we're being frank, honestly, Pogba lately has not been a spectacular phenomenon of a player at Manchester United. There's a lot of issues and reasons for that, but he hasn't been a player that deserves that amount of money, though he is still leaps and bounds better than the midfielders that Juventus has and that they're working with. He would be a massive upgrade. So I think at this point, it's kind of us realizing, hey, maybe let's sit back, look at the situation. It could change. There's still a possibility that maybe some of the tentacles here end up changing. Maybe Juve end up paying him a little bit more money or something like that. Or he just really has his heart set on returning to Turin rather than going to a cash cow like PSG, which seems kind of likely here right now. We'll monitor that, but maybe right now, maybe set your reset when it comes to this mercato. I think they're still going to try to make a big splash with the name in the midfield, but it may not be Pogba. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. Obviously, we've talked about the name Zaniolo. I know your guys' thoughts on Zaniolo, but Zaniolo, Jorginho, and then maybe this guy that we have up next. Let's go ahead and just get into him now. And Romeo Agresti also covers talking about, he's talking about the Lazio players, right? And he's talking about Milinkovic-Savic, saying that Milinkovic-Savic basically blocked his own transfer to Juventus at this point, saying that it's very difficult to negotiate with Lazio. Juventus spent 3 windows insisting, and Lazio were strong in their demand of 100 million euros. When Milinkovic-Savic accepted that renewal, he knew he was basically locking himself into the end of his contract, which is until 2024. Again, Juventus are not going to make stupid deals. They're not going to spend exorbitant amounts of money to help other clubs. At this point, Juventus are not going to be taken advantage of like other clubs tried to do with Juventus, and they still try to do it, right? As soon as Juve comes to the table wanting a player, that price gets jacked up all the way up as much as they can do in preposterous numbers. Remember when Locatelli was rumored to be valued at, what, 50 million euros or more, right? Anyway, so it seems that Milinkovic-Savic is less than likely. But we continue on talking about that with Gazzetta dello Sports report saying that Juventus like Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto, both of Lazio. It will be not easy for Savic given the competition from Manchester United and PSG want him as well as the 70 million euro demand that Lazio have for him currently. For Alberto, though, Lazio want 40 million euros. This could be lowered by including a player. I still think it's going to be a difficult deal to get done, mainly just because if we know anything about Lotito, he's going to I'm trying to keep this G rated because I use some inappropriate language to describe the only way to get something out of him, but it will take a lot to get anything from Lotito because he, the way he treats Juventus, the way he has his disrespectful ways when it comes to Juve. I don't see either of these players getting done, to be honest. I think they're high valuations. Maybe Alberto just because of 40 million if they get added a player. Problem is, obviously, the players that they were interested in, Maurizio Sarri liked Daniele Rugani, and then there were rumors about Bernardeschi before, but now Bernardeschi, if he wants to leave, could leave this summer to go there. So we'll see what happens there. Next story up, though. Let's move it on. Which, not that one. We just did you. Let's continue to the next story. And Romeo Agresti is talking about more information, basically looking at the options for a defender for Juventus to go at in the summer. Again, get those reading glasses out because it's a small text kind of day. Rudiger, he is a name to watch, yes. Out of respect for Chelsea, who were prevented from moving, he is acting very calmly. But he has had initial talks with Juventus, Real Madrid, PSG, Manchester United, and even Bayern Munich, who then withdrew, but Rudiger's priority seems to be Chelsea, if that's possible. So at the moment, he hasn't said yes to anyone, but it must be pointed out that he seems to demand a very high salary. At the moment, Juventus are monitoring 7 or 8 defenders, having also in mind criteria such as salary and commission demand from the agents. Obviously, we talked about different defenders recently. That could be some options that Juve could go for, the way they're going in and looking at them and how they're going to go about them. But that seems to be the situation with Bremer. It's kind of a difficult one as well. Funny how, the rumors of basically it's a done deal when we all know it's not a done deal, but the rumors that have been floated out there seem to be less and less likely as it stands right now. So we'll see. Rudiger's got options. He's definitely got options. He's got some of the top options in the sporting world right now. So definitely Juventus want to continue to look at him because it would be definitely a good duo if you have him and Matthias to look together. But it seems a difficult one to do. Will they go a different route? All right. And speaking of different routes, let's talk about him. I know you guys are interested in him. You're always commenting. You're always leaving messages about him. Bremer of Torino. Basically, Romeo Agresti says it's a very complicated. He renewed with Torino precisely to allow the club to gain as much value as possible from his departure in June. I know he's been Inter's top priority for months. There's talks that Juve could take advantage of Torino wanting the outright acquisition of Mandragora, which could indeed happen, or which should indeed happen, but I don't know if the two things would be related. Yeah, I don't think they're equally compatible. I understand you've got some deals going on, but I think at this point, with some of the setup there for Mandragora, you could actually just they could go out there and just be like, we're going to get this done. Sorry about your luck, Bremer. We want him to stay, but we also don't like Tel Juve, which is one thing that's, it's continuing to go with these clubs that are not friendly. They're not friendly to Juventus. You got Torino, you've got Lazio. I guess most of the city, if we're being honest. The only guy who seems to like us now is Carnevale after, I guess, the Locatelli deal went down well, but he was not talking friendly before that, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's the situation as it stands right now. When it comes to Bremer, it seems to be a high lean toward Inter, but we'll see. Things could always change. Speaking of Inter, obviously Juventus are going up in the big match that they have against them on this Sunday, but they're also going to be battling it out in different ways. La Stampa reporting, saying that Raspadori and Frattesi are the two candidates for Juve and Inter. Raspadori could be Dybala's replacement, and Inter like him because they need to rebuild their attack, while Frattesi is the midfielder that Juve are carefully evaluating. Here's the thing. I think at this point, I don't know exactly how I feel about Frattesi, to be honest. I liked him before. I liked him because he was a young option. He was an Italian option, obviously. Italian show, got to get that out of the way. But at the same time, I think Frattesi brings some things to the table that are interesting, but I don't know that they would excite many fans of Juventus at this stage. Like when you talk about what Juve need to really get or get the next a high tier player, I don't think he's there. I mean, I know he's not there. He's not there yet. That Frattesi would be a guy like that. Can he even get there? Does he even have that potential? We'll see. Obviously, Inter are interested in him, but after Frattesi, I couldn't even get it out. What am I doing right now? Frattesi at this point has a long way to go. I talked about previously, maybe he's kind of an option that you're looking at. Say you look at, we're talking about Gravenberch before, that he'd be like a good counterpart to a Pogba, a Jorginho, somebody like that. Bring him alongside him. I think that would be more what Frattesi would be, but I don't think Frattesi would be as exciting or as big of a get as getting, Gravenberch would have been. But on the other side, there is Raspadori, who's definitely starting to shine a little bit more for the Italian national team when he gets to play. Obviously, playing in a match that didn't mean anything, that outside of just wanting for Italy to win and seeing Chiellini one more time, which thankfully he wasn't hurt in the match, it meant nothing. There's not a lot of reason for a lot of people to tune into that match. But Raspadori was able to score a couple goals. He's definitely showing that he is an offensive threat. And he could be a solid option to come in as a guy to, and I'm sorry, I was trying to think of the exact words of how I want to say this, but as a good guy to come in as your Dybala replacement option. When I say that, I don't mean he's obviously not nearly as technically gifted as Dybala. To me, I think Dybala just has that natural talent that a lot of players, it's difficult to find that, right? Some of the things that he can do are not easily found, in going to the playground and trying to find a kid who's out there playing. But as it stands right now, Raspadori, though, I at least like that he's a tenacious, active attacker. He's always constantly moving. He's trying to get things done. He's not a wait for the ball to come to him kind of guy. He goes to it and he gets things done. I like that option, especially knowing that Inter have interest in him. I'd be okay with that, the addition of Raspadori. I'd be honest. I know, again, Italian chill, right? You know that. I'm putting that preface right there because I know a lot of you may not agree with me. But at this point, I think I would like the addition of Raspadori. But not only Raspadori. That wouldn't be enough, to be honest, at the end. But I do like him as an option. Let's continue on, though. Romeo Agresti continues on with other topics going about Juventus, saying that, Alexandro's getting out of here. That's what he's saying. And the next window, Juventus are determined to bring in a new starter for the left-back position. The idea is to sell Alexandro, but that's no easy task because he earned 7 million euros under contract until 2023. This is one of those situations. Obviously, the contracts have plagued Juventus for the last couple seasons, the last couple mercados, when it looks at different options of players that Juve could go get. One of those options was, of course, my daydream, and if it ever happens, praise the Lord, it'll be that if Donnarumma ever comes. Obviously, Donnarumma's in a little bit of a slide right now. When I say a slide, we see goalkeepers have difficult moments in their career, right? Szczesny had his at the beginning of last season. But because of the Szczesny deal and the amount of years and all that on there, would they be able to go get like Donnarumma? No, they were not. But I also wonder, and if this kind of situation, now Juventus looks at this and they say, if you have these options, opportunities to get guys that really better the play you have on the field. A guy that's obviously better than Alexandro. You have him under contract till 2023. That means one more season. Are you able to maybe eat a little bit of that money to go ahead and get a guy now for that season, and then you can let him go if he's not able to be sold for some reason? I wonder if any of that will ever come into it. I know, again, Arriva Bene seems to be pretty inclined not to spend unnecessarily, so we'll see what his decision would be in the long term. Or in the short term, I guess. All right, let's continue on. Talk about Zaniolo and his situation. Corriere della Sera are saying that Roma have no intention of lowering their demands for Zaniolo. They want close to 60 million euros. Juve like to lower the cost by including a player in the deal. Previously rumored is that Roma have interest in either Weston McKennie, and that would be a hard one. I think that would be a difficult one to lose. Another one that's rumored that they also like is Nicola Ravella, which is another player, a young Italian player. I know that may rub people the wrong way as well, to see Juventus potentially lose him. Because he could be potentially a future star for the Italian national team, to try to get, a next level talent who also obviously has injury issues. I'm not going to dive into it. We talk about it each and every day on here. Nicolo Zaniolo has injury issues. I also wonder, and just hear me out, this is my kind of feeling, is I wonder, Roma, not that they're not in a good position by chance, they're in an okay position. He only has like another year in his contract, so if Juve wanted to wait it out, they probably could. But you're wanting to make a big splash there in the midfield. The news today about Pogba, if Pogba seems to be less and less likely, say that one's starting to deteriorate. Milinkovic-Savic has always been kind of a pipe dream to me that I don't think it's going to happen. I would love it to, but I don't think it's going to happen. You start to fade out in the background a little bit. Then what you're left with are looking at Jorginho and looking at Zaniolo, or is there somebody else that could come up that could be more of a surprise option for Juve, right? I think right now, with those being your options, Roma might be able to get a little bit more money than they'd expect. I don't think they can demand and say that they want 60 million euros. It ain't happening. They're not getting 60 million euros. They're going to keep... This is the game that all clubs play with Juventus. They all play this nonsense game of demanding this, huge amount of money when they know that their player's not worth that amount of money. So we'll see what happens. Let's monitor that. But I think right now, if you were to ask me, from the news that I've heard lately, it basically sounds more and more like Milinkovic-Savic is down here. Pogba's right around here, and then right here at the top, you're probably going to have, I don't know why I use this part of my arm to do it, whatever. But while you're looking at it, Zaniolo and Jorginho are right there near the top. I don't know if you all may put Jorginho a little higher, but then also the issues, obviously, with the current climate, if they'd even be able to sell them, we'll see. So that seems to be it for me right now when I'm looking at who the midfield could get, who would be those big name options, and that would be it. Right now it seems to be Zaniolo and Jorginho would round out the top right now. Pogba would be at the top of a wish list, but if it seems less likely that Juve are going to be willing to pay that, so be it. All right, let's move on to the next topic of the day, and that's Tuttosport talking about Moise Kean and his future, saying that the main player in the attack to leave Turin is Moise Kean, who has failed to convince with his performances. If an agreement can be found to avoid the obligation to buy, the club is ready to listen to proposals. At the moment, however, we are still in the initial phase. Obviously, this has a lot of play that could factor in to bringing in a player like Raspadori. He would be the guy that would have to leave to bring in Raspadori in. That was a news story from yesterday. We'll see if they can end up making a deal either with Everton. PSG are still high on wanting to bring him back in. Maybe they can figure out some situation there in the long term. But that's really it that we have for that right now. Next part up, we have Romeo Agresti. He's got more comments. He's got more comments for you guys. You slow your roll, okay? He's got more comments for you. He's saying a few phone contacts here and there with agents representing the free agents, talking about the free agents at Juventus, Bernardeschi, De Sciglio, Quadrado, yada, yada, yada. But again, no meetings this week. So as it stands right now, renewals are on standby. They're on hold. They're going to get done, though. I think De Sciglio seems to be the most likely soon one, and then Quadrado, and then Bernardeschi is probably out in the cold on his own as it stands right now. I don't know why I did my arm like that. Anyway, this is going to be a long video, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to have weird tics, and I'm not going to edit it out. Who cares? You get it raw. Anyway, Romeo Agresti is talking about this, basically the situation about Piazza at Torino. Says, speaking of Torino, it's also virtually certain that the club will not exercise their opinion to buy Piazza, a lad who has unfortunately had his career heavily hampered by physical problems. Couldn't get that one out. Like I said, it's going long on this video. As it stands right now, so that's the situation with Piazza. Doesn't do anything for me, honestly. I'm not a lot of comment that I can really give on there, but it seems to be another additional player that could be coming back to Juventus, that Juventus are going to have to figure out what they want to do with these extra parts that are laying around of these players that they don't really need. All right, and then following this, we have some news with Gazzetta dello Sport reporting that basically Napoli are a bunch of bums. And by this, they're saying that for the FIGC prosecutor's office, Napoli fielded three players away to Juventus that should have been in quarantine. We talked about this. You know the names that were leaked out there that they really should have been quarantined. I was shocked that they were playing. You were shocked that they were playing. We talked about how this could affect Juventus. Luckily, down the line, it didn't really knock anybody out. But, again, Napoli are full of hypocrites and they're full of bums that play their crap team and they put their team out there. Obviously, Juventus should have beaten their crap team. Juventus should have won that game. They were playing with a skeleton crew. It was what it was. But at the same time, Napoli, of course, skirting the rules so that way they could play against Juventus and have the best chance they had in that situation. Gave them probably, I don't want to say an unfair advantage, but gave them an advantage that Juventus has not had when they've had to sit players out. They sit them out because those are the rules. The rules only apply to Juventus, and Juventus are the only club out there that will get crushed for this, and it's absolutely ridiculous. You know it. I know it. I hate Napoli. I hate garbage man De Laurentiis. Everything to do with them. I don't need it in my life. I know a lot of people, and I rivalry when it comes to Inter as well, but Napoli is the one that I don't like. And I'll be honest, I'll say that on the channel. I don't care. If you're a Napoli fan on here, let's have a conversation. Let's do this. That'll be fun. Otherwise, that's what I have for Napoli today. That's all the time I have for them. Finally, and then speaking of people I don't like, let's continue on and talk about PSG's president. Yeah, let's talk about him. He had some comments with BBC Sport, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, and he was basically saying, I hate to say Super League. We talk about 3 clubs. They know there is no chance. People are dying in Ukraine and have nowhere to sleep, and we are fighting over the Super League. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? I know I heard it. I don't know if you heard it, but that's literally his balls going back inside of him. And maybe I'll need to edit that out. He's turtling up, is what I'm saying. My guy is turtling up because he's scared. Because Khelaifi knows what the Super League means. It means that teams like Man City and PSG will no longer have this hold over who they can do and have a supremacy over buying players. And I was going to say operating a monopoly on the league, but if we're being honest, they're not even doing that. They're getting all the best players. They've got Donnarumma, they've got Messi, they've got Mbappe, and they're still failing in the Champions League. They are doing nothing with their money. They're terrible. Maybe their coaches are terrible. Whatever their setup is, maybe it's their crap league that the French league plays in. I don't know what it is, but teams like that, they go out there and they try to buy everyone, and they still fail because it doesn't work like that. The sport doesn't work like buy the best pieces, go out there and roll the balls out there and win. You have to put some coaching into it. They have to put some effort into it, and right now they're failing. I'm tired of him, and I also dislike that he also tried to use a political climate thing for his agenda. It's nonsense. Do not bring Ukraine and the people of their suffering and struggles in there to try to make the Super League look bad. These are 2 different topics. You're a bum. We're done with you. I guess I'm not done with you because you have a second half, I have to say. The problem, here we go. The problem with the ESL clubs is that they have no stability. They don't have a long-term financial vision. They keep talking about their legal contract, but what they forget is that football is a social contract. Yeah, whatever. We get it. You have oil money, and they don't have the ESL clubs do not have the same situation, right? I don't know what to say. They don't have oil money, okay? Fine, whatever. Anyway, that's where it stands right now. I'm done with him. I'm done with his trash. The Super League's going to happen. They're going to have to deal with it. At some point, they're going to choose to get on or sync with the rest of anybody else. But the Super League will happen. And at this point, I'm just annoyed that they're even allowing this man to talk and have a presence with BBC Sport. I understand PSG has thrown their weight around when it comes to money, but you failed spectacularly in the Champions League, and I'm loving every bit of it. That'll be it for today's video. I know I don't know how I finished that. I feel like that one was a little bit of a like an explosion and then like a but it is what it is. I don't have time for him. I don't have time for him. If you have time for him and you want to argue and complain about him, feel free to it. I don't care. But that'll be the news for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, especially all the mercato stuff we talked about. Romeo Agresti really filling you in with some important information there, especially when you look at the midfield options, the defenders, anything else like that. Let me know your thoughts in the midfield, especially because that's the one that really, really sticks out to me. And also, do you agree? The news last couple of days basically about Raspadori. Do you think he'd be a solid option to come in and be that next attacker since Dybala is on his way out there for Juventus? Can he develop into something special long-term at the club? Let me know that in the comment section down below. Again, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. It really helps our channel with the algorithm and all that stuff. It's free. We do this content for you each and every day. All I ask is you just hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, as well that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. If you haven't already, also make sure you follow Bianconeri Zone on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff, at Bianconeri Zone, and follow me at Justin Sofro, JUSTINSOFORO. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.